I stared at my phone, refreshing my notifications for the 100th time. Nothing. Not a single happy birthday message from my family. The same family I'd spent years keeping together through countless celebrations, emergencies, and drama. I'm Kylie, and at 30 years old, I thought I knew what to expect from the people who were supposed to care about me most. I was wrong. Still nothing? Lewis asked, sliding a consolatory latte across my desk. As my best friend and coworker, he'd been watching me obsess over my phone all morning. Not even from Mom, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Remember last year when I organized that surprise party for June's birthday? 3 months of planning, coordinating with 20 people, and making sure Dad didn't accidentally spoil it? Lewis nodded, pulling up a chair. And the year before that, when you flew across the country because Braxton broke up with his girlfriend. 4 days of emotional support and ice cream runs. I confirmed, forcing a smile. Don't forget last month's anniversary dinner for Mom and Dad. I had to call 8 different restaurants to find one that could accommodate everyone's dietary restrictions. My phone buzzed, my heart jumped, but it was just a spam email. Maybe they're planning something, Lewis suggested. But we both knew better. My family didn't plan. That was my job. The family coordinator, the emotional glue, the one who remembered every birthday, anniversary, and important date. At 5 o'clock, I packed up my things, still phoneless, except for work emails and social media notifications from distant acquaintances. Luis gave me a tight hug before I left. Want to grab dinner? He offered. I shook my head. I should stop by my parents' house. Maybe they just forgot to charge their phones or something. The drive to their house felt longer than usual. Every red light seemed to mock me, giving me more time to remember all the birthdays I'd made special for everyone else. June's surprise party, Braxton's 25th with the custom cake and video messages from all his college friends, Mom's 50th, where I'd arranged for relatives to fly in from 3 different states. I pulled into their driveway, noting that everyone's cars were there. Thursday family dinner, another tradition I'd started 2 years ago to keep everyone connected. Through the window, I could see them all gathered around the dining table. Mom was passing around what looked like her famous lasagna. Dad was gesturing animatedly about something. June was laughing, while Braxton scrolled through his phone. My hands trembled as I turned off the engine. Taking a deep breath, I walked to the door and let myself in. "Oh, Kylie," Mom looked up, surprised. "We weren't expecting you tonight." "Hi," I said quietly, still standing in the doorway. I thought, well, I was wondering if anyone remembered what day it is. Blank faces stared back at me. "Thursday," Braxton offered, not looking up from his phone. "It's my birthday," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. The silence that followed was deafening. "Oh, honey," Mom finally said, but her tone wasn't apologetic. It was dismissive. "You should have reminded us. You know how busy everyone's been." "Busy?" I repeated incredulously. I managed to remember everyone's birthdays, anniversaries, and important dates, despite working full-time. "Don't be dramatic, Kylie," June cut in. "It's just a birthday. We can celebrate another day." Dad nodded in agreement. "You're too old to make such a fuss about birthdays anyway." I felt something snap inside me. Not in an angry way, but in a quiet, final way. Like a thread that had been stretched too thin for too long. "You're right," I said, surprising them with my calm tone. "It is just a birthday, and I am being ungrateful for expecting acknowledgement from my family." "That's not what Mom started, but I held up my hand. "No, really, it's fine. I understand now." I turned toward the door. "Enjoy your dinner." "Aren't you staying?" Braxton called out. "Mom made enough for everyone." I paused, with my hand on the doorknob. "No, thanks. I have plans with people who remembered." As I walked back to my car, I could hear them through the open window, their voices carrying clearly in the evening air. "She's being ridiculous," June said. "So ungrateful," Mom agreed. If she wanted to celebrate, she should have planned something herself. I sat in my car, letting their words wash over me. They were right about one thing. I should have planned something. I should have planned my exit from being their emotional crutch long ago. Starting now, things were going to change, and they had no idea what they'd just set in motion. The first test of my resolve came 3 days later, when Mom's text lit up my phone. Don't forget to order the cake for Aunt Emery's birthday next week. The one from that bakery she likes. I stared at the message for a long moment before putting my phone face down on my desk. Louis glanced over from his cubicle, raising an eyebrow. They're already asking for favors, I said, turning back to my computer. And nothing. I'm not doing it. My phone buzzed again and again. I ignored it until lunchtime, when Louis practically dragged me to our usual cafe. You have 7 missed calls from your mom, he said, checking my phone screen. Are you sure about this? Watch this, I said, calling her back. She answered on the first ring. Finally, did you order the cake yet? And remember, Emery likes... No, Mom, I didn't order the cake, I interrupted calmly. I won't be ordering it. Silence. Then, what do you mean you won't be ordering it? You always handle these things. Not anymore. I'm sure you can figure it out. The bakery's number is in the family group chat. I posted it last year. Kylie, stop being difficult. This is about your birthday, isn't it? We said we were sorry. Actually, you didn't. I corrected her. But this isn't about that. I'm just busy with my own life right now. I hung up before she could respond. Louis whistled low. That was ice cold, he said. But he was grinning. How does it feel? Terrifying, I admitted. But also, right? The next week passed in a blur of ignored calls and declined invitations. I muted the family group chat after the 15th message, asking where I was and why I wasn't responding. June tried stopping by my apartment, but I'd already warned my doorman not to let any family members up. The real challenge came when Bianca called. Your mom just called me in a panic, my cousin said. Apparently, Aunt Emery's birthday dinner was a disaster. I took a sip of wine, curled up on my couch. Oh? The cake was wrong. Half the family got the wrong time because no one sent out proper invitations. And your dad forgot to make a reservation, so they ended up eating at Denny's. Sounds stressful, I said neutrally. Kylie, Bianca's voice softened. What's going on? This isn't like you. Maybe that's the problem, I replied. Maybe I've been too much like me and not enough like them. Self-focused and unbothered by other people's feelings. That's harsh, is it? They forgot my birthday, Bianca. Not just forgot. They made me feel guilty for expecting them to remember. A pause. I know. That's why I didn't go to Emery's dinner. Told them I had food poisoning. I felt a rush of affection for my cousin. Thanks. So what's the plan? You can't avoid them forever. I'm not avoiding them, I said, straightening up. I'm just stepping back, let them handle their own lives for once. My phone beeped, another text from Braxton. Mom's freaking out about planning Dad's retirement party next month. Can you at least help with that? No, I typed back. I'm sure you'll figure it out. But you're so good at this stuff, he replied immediately. Time to learn then, I sent. Then muted his conversation too. Bianca was still on the line. They're going to implode without you, you know. Maybe they need to, I said quietly. Maybe we all do. The next morning, I ran into June at my local coffee shop. I'd forgotten she sometimes came here before work. Finally, she exclaimed, blocking my path to the counter. You can't keep ignoring us, Kylie. This is childish. I met her gaze steadily. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just not managing everyone's lives anymore. Is this really all because of your birthday? Get over it. Several people turned to look at us. I kept my voice low and calm. No, June. This is about years of taking everyone for granted. About expecting me to be there for everything while never being there for me. About calling me ungrateful for having feelings. That's not. It is. I cut her off. And you know what? I'm tired. I'm tired of being the only one who tries, who remembers, who cares. So I'm done. Done? Her voice cracked slightly. Done being the family secretary. Done being the emotional support system. Done being taken for granted. I stepped around her to place my order. When I turned back, she was still standing there, looking lost. "What are we supposed to do?" she asked quietly. I grabbed my coffee from the counter. "Whatever you want, June. That's the point. It's not my problem anymore." As I walked out, I felt lighter than I had in years. The guilt was still there, but it was overshadowed by something else, a growing sense of freedom. 2 weeks into my family detox, Aunt Emery invited me for coffee. Unlike the others, she'd respected my space, so I agreed to meet her at a quiet cafe downtown. "You look different," she said as I sat down. "More relaxed." "I feel different," I admitted, stirring my latte. "How bad was your birthday dinner?" Emery laughed. "Oh, honey, it was like watching a car crash in slow motion. Your mother spent half the night apologizing about the cake. They ordered chocolate when everyone knows I'm allergic. Your father kept checking his phone because he was convinced he had another reservation somewhere else. And Braxton. June tried to organize a group photo, but forgot to bring her camera. Braxton showed up an hour late because no one told him we changed the time." She leaned forward. "But that's not why I asked you here." I raised an eyebrow. "No? I overheard something interesting at that disaster of a dinner. Your mother and June were in the bathroom. They didn't know I was in the stall." My curiosity piqued. "What did they say?" "June's been hiding something from the family. She's 3 months pregnant." I nearly choked on my coffee. "What?" "She's terrified to tell everyone because she's not married. And you know how traditional your parents are. She was telling your mom she'd planned to ask you for help breaking the news. But," Emery spread her hands. "But I'm not available anymore," I finished. "Exactly." Your mother's response was interesting, though. She said, "We can't rely on Kylie forever. It's time we learn to handle our own problems." I sat back, processing this. That's surprisingly self-aware. "Don't get too excited," Emery warned. 5 minutes later, she was complaining about how selfish you're being. My phone buzzed. A message from Braxton. "Dad's retirement party is this weekend. Please come. It's falling apart." Speaking of falling apart, I showed Emery the text. "Are you going?" I shook my head. "I can't. If I step in now, nothing will change." Later that evening, Bianca called with a live update from the retirement party planning session. "Your mom tried to order catering from that Italian place Dad loves," she reported, barely containing her laughter. "Turns out it closed 2 years ago. The one that shut down right after I got food poisoning there. That's the one." June suggested the country club, but no one knows who to contact there because you always handled the bookings. I could hear raised voices in the background. "What's that?" "Oh, Braxton just told everyone he can't make it Saturday because he has tickets to a concert. Your mom's having a meltdown." The concert he bought tickets for 3 months ago. I reminded him about Dad's retirement date back then. "Well, apparently no one wrote it down after you mentioned it." More shouting erupted in the background. "Hold on," Bianca said. Oh no." "What?" "June just threw up in the decorative plant. I think the stress got to her. Your mom's asking if she's sick and, yep, June just blurted out that she's pregnant. Your dad looks like he's about to pass out." I closed my eyes, imagining the chaos. "How's Mom taking it?" "She's sitting there with her mouth open." "Wait." She just asked who's going to help plan the baby shower. Everyone turned to look at the empty chair where you usually sit. Despite everything, I felt a twinge of sympathy. "They'll figure it out." Actually, Bianca's voice dropped to a whisper. "I think they might be. Braxton just offered to cancel his concert tickets, and June's boyfriend, sorry, the baby's father, just arrived. He's offering to help with the retirement party planning." "Really?" "Yeah, it's like, without you there to fix everything. They're being forced to step up. It's messy and disorganized, but they're trying." I heard Mom's voice in the background. "We can't keep expecting Kylie to manage our lives. We need to show her we can do better." "Did you hear that?" Bianca asked. "I did," I said softly, "but they have a long way to go." "True. Oh God, your dad just tried to take charge of the menu planning, but he doesn't know about June's new gluten intolerance or Braxton's girlfriend's nut allergy. The allergies I documented in the family shared notes app? The one no one else knows how to access. Yeah, that one. Bianca paused. They're actually kinda sweet though, in a chaotic way. Your mom's crying, but she's hugging June. Dad's shaking hands with June's boyfriend. Braxton's on the phone canceling his concert tickets. I felt something shift inside me. Not regret, exactly, but recognition. They were trying. Messily, imperfectly, but trying. Keep me posted, I asked. Of course. Oh, and Kylie, they miss you. Not just what you do for them, they miss you. After hanging up, I sat in my quiet apartment, thinking about family, growth, and the painful process of change. Maybe they needed to fall apart a little to put themselves back together the right way. My phone lit up with another text from Mom. We understand now. We're trying to do better. Please give us a chance to show you. I left it unanswered. But for the first time in weeks, I didn't immediately mute the conversation. Dad's retirement party was exactly the beautiful disaster I expected it to be. I watched the chaos unfold through Bianca's steady stream of texts and photos. The cake says, "Happy retirement done. They got your dad's name wrong," she reported. June's trying to scrape off the "Don" with a plastic knife. I was curled up on my couch with Louis, who'd brought over pizza and insisted on being my emotional support person for the evening. Your mom just tried to give a speech, another text read. She started crying halfway through because she forgot to write it down. But then Braxton stepped in and said some really nice things about your dad. Actually made everyone tear up. See? Luai pointed at the screen. They're managing. My phone rang. It was June. After a moment's hesitation, I answered. Hey, she said, her voice thick with emotion. I know you don't want to talk to us right now, but I needed to tell you something. I waited. I'm sorry, she continued. Not just about your birthday, about everything. Watching everyone try to pull this party together without you. It made me realize how much we've taken you for granted. June. No, let me finish. My boyfriend Mark, he asked why we relied on you so much. I didn't have an answer. It made me feel awful, because the truth is we just got lazy. We knew you'd handle everything, so we stopped trying. I heard commotion in the background. How's the party going? She laughed wetly. It's a mess. The food's cold. Dad's name is wrong on everything. And Mom forgot to invite half his golf friends. But everyone's helping, really helping, not just saying they will and then disappearing. Even Braxton canceled his plans to be here. That's good, I said softly. Yeah, and I'm showing now. The pregnancy, I mean. Mom's been surprisingly great about it. She and Mark's mom are already arguing over who gets to host the baby shower. I told them I can handle it myself. Can you? Honestly? No idea, but I'm going to try. That's what I wanted to tell you. I'm trying. We all are. After we hung up, Louis gave me a knowing look. You're going soft. Am not, I protested. I'm just glad they're figuring things out. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Bianca, this time with a photo. My family was gathered around Dad, who was wearing a slightly crooked, world's best dad hat that looked handmade. Despite the obvious chaos in the background, mismatched decorations, that horrible cake, and what looked like takeout containers instead of catered food, they were all smiling, really smiling. Then came another text, this time from Braxton. Remember when you made that video montage for my 25th? I tried to do something similar for Dad. It's awful, but he cried anyway. I was about to respond when someone knocked on my door. Louis raised his eyebrows as I went to answer it. It was my cousin Bianca, looking flushed and slightly out of breath. Before you close the door, she said quickly, I'm not here as a family messenger. I'm here as your friend. I let her in. She took in the pizza boxes and Louis on the couch. The party's still going, she said, but I needed to tell you something in person. They're changing, Kylie, really changing. I know, I said. June called. No, you don't understand. Your mom started a family calendar app on her phone. Braxton's actually writing down important dates. June's boyfriend is offering to host Thanksgiving this year. Your dad, she paused, smiling. Your dad made a spreadsheet. Louis choked on his pizza. A spreadsheet. For family birthdays and anniversaries, it's terrible. He somehow managed to list August as having 32 days, but he's trying. I sat down heavily. They didn't need me after all. No, Bianca said firmly. They needed you to stop enabling them. There's a difference. She pulled out her phone. Look at this. It was a video from the party. Mom was standing up, glass in hand, looking nervous but determined. I want to thank everyone for coming, she said in the video. This isn't the perfect party our Kylie would have planned. The food's wrong, the decorations are a mess. And yes, that cake has the wrong name. She paused. But we did it ourselves. And maybe that's what Kylie's been trying to tell us all along. That we need to stand on our own feet. The video ended. I looked up to find both Louis and Bianca watching me carefully. They're not perfect, Bianca said gently. They're still going to mess up, but they're trying to be better, not just at planning parties, but at being family. My phone lit up with another text from Mom. We saved you some wrong name cake. It's not much, but it's made with love and a lot of humility. When you're ready, we'd love to share it with you. For the first time in weeks, I felt the hard knot in my chest begin to loosen. A week after Dad's retirement party, my parents invited me to dinner. Just the three of us. No siblings, no extended family. I agreed, but suggested a neutral location, the small Italian restaurant near my office. You look good, Mom said when I arrived, pulling me into a tentative hug. Are you eating enough? I'm fine, Mom. I sat down across from them. Dad was fidgeting with his napkin, something I'd never seen him do before. The waiter came to take our drink orders, providing a welcome interruption to the awkward silence. Once he left, Mom cleared her throat. We've been doing a lot of thinking, she began, and talking, mostly about how we've treated you. Mom, please, let me finish. She reached for her purse and pulled out a small notebook. I wrote everything down because I didn't want to forget anything important. Dad touched her arm. Let me, honey. He turned to me. Kylie, I've been a terrible father. The bluntness of his statement caught me off guard. Dad had never been one for emotional conversations. All these years, he continued, I've watched you take care of everyone, plan everything, remember everything. And not once did I stop to ask if it was fair to put that burden on you. It wasn't a burden, I said automatically. Yes, it was, Mom cut in. We made it one. We stopped trying because we knew you would handle everything. We got lazy, entitled. The waiter returned with our drinks. I took a long sip of water, trying to steady myself. When you stopped, Dad said, everything fell apart. But you know what? It needed to fall apart. We needed to see what we'd done to you. Your father spent 3 hours trying to figure out how to use the family calendar app, Mom added with a weak smile. He called Braxton 4 times for help. 5 times, Dad corrected. And I still can't get it to sync properly. Despite myself, I felt a smile tugging at my lips. The sync button is in the settings menu. See? Mom reached across the table, hesitating before taking my hand. You still want to help, it's just who you are, but we took advantage of that. We did more than that, Dad said grimly. We punished you for having feelings about it. Your birthday, he trailed off, looking pained. Your birthday, Mom picked up, was our wake-up call. Not just forgetting it, but how we reacted when you were hurt. We were cruel, Kylie. Yes, I said quietly. You were. They both flinched at my honesty. We can't change the past, Dad said. But we're trying to change the future. I've started therapy. I nearly spilled my water. You? Therapy? He nodded, looking both embarrassed and proud. Turns out, I have a lot to work through about showing emotions and appreciating family. And I've been meeting with June every week, Mom added. Really talking, not just about the baby, but about how we can be better as a family. She's teaching me how to use video chat, so we can have virtual family meetings when someone can't be there in person. June is teaching you technology? Well, she's trying. I kept holding the phone upside down the first few times. The waiter came to take our orders. In the brief pause, I noticed something different about my parents. They seemed softer somehow, more vulnerable. "We're not asking you to come back and take care of everything," Dad said after the waiter left. "We're asking for a chance to show you we can change, to be the parents you deserved all along. And if we mess up," Mom added quickly, "we want you to tell us. No more silencing your feelings to keep the peace." I took a deep breath. "I need you to understand something. I can't go back to being the family fixer." "We don't want you to," Dad said firmly. "We want you to be our daughter, not our personal assistant. And we want to celebrate your next birthday properly," Mom added, tears in her eyes. "If you'll let us." "That's months away," I pointed out. "We know. We've already marked it in 3 different calendars." Braxton set up phone reminders for everyone. June's starting a planning committee. She insists on handling it herself. Poor June, Dad chuckled. She tried to reserve a restaurant last week and booked a children's party place by mistake. I couldn't help laughing. She did not. "Oh yes," Mom grinned, "complete with a ball pit and party clowns." She was mortified when she realized. For the first time in months, the conversation flowed naturally. We talked through dinner, sharing stories of their fumbling attempts at independence, their small victories, and amusing failures. They weren't perfect, far from it, but they were trying. As we finished our meals, Dad reached into his pocket and pulled out an envelope. "We know it's late," he said softly, "but happy birthday, sweetheart." Inside was a card, not a generic store-bought one, but a handmade card covered in awkward drawings and heartfelt words. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And maybe that's what I'd been waiting for all along. The real test came when June went into premature labor at 7 months. My phone exploded with panicked messages at 3 a.m. "On my way to Memorial Hospital," June texted. Contractions started. Mark stuck in traffic, scared. Before I could respond, messages poured in from everyone else. Mom was already at the hospital. Dad was trying to coordinate with Braxton. Aunt Emery was calling Mark's parents. I stared at my phone, my old instincts screaming to take charge, to start organizing everyone. Instead, I simply texted June, "I'm here if you need me. You've got this." 10 minutes later, Braxton called. "I know you're not doing the whole family coordinator thing anymore," he said quickly, "but I need advice. Mom's freaking out. Dad's in the wrong hospital because he mixed up Memorial with Methodist. And Mark's still stuck on the highway. What do you think you should do?" I asked calmly. There was a pause. I should probably get Mom some coffee to calm her down. Call Dad and give him the right directions. Maybe call Mark's parents to pick him up, since they know a shortcut to the hospital. Sounds like a solid plan. "Really?" His voice brightened. "Thanks, sis. Oh, and we haven't forgotten about your birthday next month. June's been planning something special, even with the baby coming early. Braxton, she needs to focus on herself right now. Try telling her that. She says she owes you. We all do." After hanging up, I got dressed and headed to the hospital. Not to take charge, but to be present. When I arrived, I found a surprisingly organized scene. Braxton had set up camp in the waiting room, laptop open, with a spreadsheet tracking who was where and when they'd arrive. Mom was actually calm, armed with coffee, and helping Mark's mother distribute snacks. Dad had finally arrived and was coordinating with the nurses about June's birth plan, the one she'd apparently written herself. "Kylie," Mark hurried over, looking frazzled but relieved. "June's asking for you." In the delivery room, June was propped up on pillows, face contorted in pain, but determined. "Hey," she grabbed my hand. "I didn't think you'd come." "Of course I came. You're my sister. I had this whole birthday surprise planned for you." She groaned through a contraction. "Now this little one's ruining it." "Pretty sure this is a better surprise," I smiled. "Need anything?" "Just stay?" "Not to fix anything. Just be my sister. I squeezed her hand. Always. The next few hours were intense, but I watched in amazement as my family worked together without my intervention. Mom and Mark's mother took turns supporting June. Dad and Mark's father handled the endless paperwork. Braxton kept everyone updated through a group chat he'd created. At 7:43 a.m., my niece entered the world, tiny but fighting. She's going to need to stay in the NICU for a while, the doctor explained, but she's strong. As they wheeled the baby away, June caught my hand again. I get it now, she said tiredly. Get what? Why you stepped back, watching everyone step up today. It's like seeing a whole new family. Mark came in, followed by our parents. The nurse says we can visit her in an hour, he announced. Braxton's already set up a visiting schedule, so we don't overwhelm her. Braxton did that, I asked, surprised. He's really stepped up, Dad said proudly. We all had to. Mom pulled out her phone. I've started a group text with all the grandparents and aunts and uncles. Everyone knows to check with Braxton's schedule before visiting. And Mark's sister is handling meal deliveries for when we get home, June added. I didn't even have to ask. I felt tears welling up. Look at you all, functioning without me. Not without you, Dad corrected. Just differently. You're still our heart, Kylie. We just needed to grow our own backbone. Speaking of which, Braxton poked his head in. Mom, your shift to see the baby starts in 10 minutes. Dad, you're after that. I've got it all color-coded. Color-coded? I raised an eyebrow. He grinned. Learned from the best, didn't I? As everyone filed out to take their turns visiting the baby, June held onto my arm. We named her Kylie, she said softly. Hope that's okay. I stared at her. You what? Little Kylie Rose. Because if she's half as strong and loving as her aunt, she'll be amazing. I couldn't speak past the lump in my throat. Just promise me one thing, June continued. Promise you'll be around to teach her how to stand up for herself, how to love without losing herself, how to be as brave as her aunt. Looking at my sister, exhausted, emotional, but somehow stronger than I'd ever seen her, I realized something. My family hadn't just learned to function without my constant support. They'd learned to be better people because of its absence. I promise, I whispered, hugging her carefully. But something tells me she'll have plenty of good examples to learn from. As my birthday approached, I noticed my family acting suspiciously. Hushed phone calls, secretive texts, and poorly hidden smiles whenever I was around. Even Louis was being evasive. Just let them try, he said when I confronted him. They've been working really hard on this. 3 days before my birthday, June called from the NICU. Can you come by? Baby Kylie's having a good day, and I need to talk to you about something. When I arrived, June was rocking the tiny baby, who was finally breathing on her own. Mark was passed out in a chair nearby. Look who's here, June cooed to the baby. It's your namesake, the aunt who taught us all how to grow up. How's she doing? I asked, gently touching the baby's tiny hand. Better every day, like us. June looked up at me, which is actually why I wanted to talk to you. Mom's probably going to kill me for telling you this, but I can't keep it in anymore. Tell me what? They're planning a surprise party for you, but not just any party. She shifted the baby carefully. Everyone's been working on it for weeks. Dad's been practicing a speech. Mom's learning to bake your favorite cake from scratch. She's ruined like 6 attempts already. Braxton's putting together a video compilation of everyone talking about how you changed them by stepping back. I sat down heavily. June. Wait, there's more. You know how they forgot your birthday last time? They've been keeping a journal, all of them, writing down every time they caught themselves taking someone for granted, every time they remembered to step up instead of waiting for someone else to handle things. They what? It was Dad's idea, actually. His therapist suggested it. They're going to give it to you at the party, she smiled. I wasn't supposed to tell you any of this, but I wanted you to know how much thought they're putting into it. Not because they feel guilty. Well, maybe a little, but because they finally understand. The baby made a small noise, and June adjusted her position. The old them would have hired a party planner, ordered an expensive cake, and thrown money at the problem. The new them, they're doing it all themselves. Messily, imperfectly, but genuinely. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. Need your opinion on something not birthday related. Wink wink. What's your favorite flower? Asking for a friend. I showed June the text, laughing. They're not very subtle, are they? Not at all. Mom's been stress baking for weeks. The hospital staff is getting really tired of her practice cakes. June grinned. But you know what? She's not giving up. The old mom would have just bought one after the first failed attempt. Another text came through, this time from Braxton. Hey sis, random question. What's that song you always used to play on road trips? The one about family. Totally not for anything specific. Oh God, June giggled. He's been trying to make this playlist for days. Called me at midnight last week, asking if you preferred acoustic or original versions of songs. They don't have to do all this, I said softly. No, they don't. That's what makes it special. They want to. June carefully stood up, walking to the window. You know what Mom said when I told her I was naming the baby after you? She said, good, maybe this Kylie will teach us lessons too. My phone kept buzzing, with increasingly obvious, casual questions from family members. Dad wanted to know my favorite childhood memory. Aunt Emery was asking about my preferred cake flavors. Even Mark's parents were getting in on it, inquiring about my favorite restaurants. They're going to be so mad at me for spoiling the surprise, June said, not looking particularly concerned. But I wanted you to have time to prepare, to really see how much has changed. Why? She turned to face me, baby Kylie, sleeping peacefully in her arms. Because last time, on your birthday, you were expecting the bare minimum and got even less. This time, I want you to see every bit of love and effort they're putting in. Every imperfect, handmade, slightly messy attempt to show you they've changed. My phone lit up again, a photo from Mom of what appeared to be another failed cake attempt. Captioned, "This is not your birthday cake," which I'm definitely not making. Look at this. June nodded at my phone. 6 months ago, Mom would have died before showing anyone her failures. Now she's laughing about them, trying again, asking for advice. She carefully placed the baby in my arms. Little Kylie gripped my finger with surprising strength. So when you go to this party you're not supposed to know about, June said softly, remember that every wobbly decoration, every off-key song, every slightly burnt cake is a testament to how much they've grown. How much you taught them by simply stepping back and letting them fall and get back up. Looking down at my tiny namesake, I felt the last bits of hurt and resentment melting away, replaced by something warmer, something like hope. Besides, June added with a mischievous smile, watching them try to keep this secret has been absolutely hilarious. On my birthday, I played along with their surprise, letting Bianca guide me to the community center where my family waited. The moment I walked in, I had to fight back tears. Handmade decorations covered the walls, not perfect, but made with obvious care. A banner reading, "Happy Birthday Kylie," hung slightly crooked, with what looked like Braxton's attempt at drawing flowers in the corners. Surprise! Everyone shouted, and I noticed even their positioning seemed planned, arranged in a way that wouldn't overwhelm me. I know you knew, Mom whispered as she hugged me. June confessed. But look how hard everyone tried anyway. She led me to a table where 3 cakes sat side by side. The first one's lopsided, the second one's a bit burnt on the bottom, but the third one, I finally got it right. They're all perfect, Mom. Dad stepped forward, clearing his throat. He pulled out a piece of paper that was clearly well rehearsed and wrinkled from multiple readings. Kylie, his voice shook slightly. When you were 5, you broke your favorite toy. Instead of crying, you tried to fix it yourself. That should have been our first clue about who you'd become, the fixer, the supporter, the heart of this family. But we took that heart for granted. He paused, collecting himself. Then you taught us the hardest lesson of all, that sometimes love means letting people figure things out for themselves. Braxton stepped up next, laptop in hand. I made something. It's not as good as your videos, and the editing's kinda rough, but he pressed play. The screen showed clips of family members speaking directly to the camera. Remember when I couldn't figure out how to coordinate Dad's retirement party? June's recorded self said. That's when I realized how much you did for us. But look at me now. I managed to plan Mark's birthday last week, only set off the smoke alarm once. The video continued, with similar confessions and stories from everyone, even extended family members. Each clip showed not just appreciation, but evidence of growth. Mom mastering video calls, Dad organizing family meetings, Braxton creating shared calendars. And now, Mom announced as the video ended, "We have something else." They presented me with a leather-bound journal. Inside, I found dated entries from each family member. Today, I remembered to ask June how she was feeling instead of waiting for Kylie to check on her. Mom scheduled my own doctor's appointment without asking anyone to do it for me. Braxton called my daughter just to talk, not to ask for anything. Dad, the entries continued, documenting their journey from dependence to responsibility. "We're still riding in it," June said, bouncing baby Kylie gently. "Every day we try to be better. And we're not done yet," Dad added. "But we wanted you to see the progress." Luis appeared with a gift bag. They even wrapped presents themselves. You should have seen the paper cuts. The party flowed naturally, not perfect, but real. When Mom's cake turned out to be slightly salty, because she'd mixed up sugar and salt measurements, everyone laughed instead of trying to hide it. When Dad's playlist accidentally included some heavy metal song he'd mistaken for my favorite, he just shrugged and started dancing anyway. Near the end of the evening, Aunt Emery pulled me aside. "You did something remarkable," she said. "You made them grow up by stepping back. That's real love." "They did the work themselves," I replied, "because you gave them the chance to." She smiled. "Look at them now." I looked around the room. Dad was helping clean up without being asked. Mom was actually sitting down, letting others handle things. June was showing Braxton how to properly hold the baby. Everyone was pitching in, working together, no one waiting for someone else to take charge. "There's just one thing," Mom said, approaching with a small box. "We know it's your birthday, but we wanted to give you this." Inside was a key. "It's to the house," she explained. "Not because we expect you to always be there, but because we want you to know you always can be. Not as our organizer or fixer, but as our daughter, sister, aunt, just you." "We had to learn the difference," Dad added, "between wanting you around and needing you to handle everything." Baby Kylie made a small noise, and June placed her in my arms. "And this little one needs to learn from the aunt who taught us all how to stand on our own feet." Looking around at my imperfect, trying, growing family, I finally felt it. The balance I'd been seeking. They hadn't just learned to function without me. They'd learned to let me exist as myself. "Happy birthday, sweetheart," Mom said, hugging me carefully around the baby. "Thank you for teaching us how to give you the gift you really needed, the chance to just be our Kylie." And in that moment, surrounded by crooked decorations, salty cake, and the people who'd learned to love better by loving less perfectly, I knew we'd all received exactly what we needed.